I would like to welcome you to today's webinar topic, Seeing What Matters in Virtual Instructor Led Training, New, Improving Live Virtual Training, excuse me. My name is Roxana Nabavian. I'm the Marketing Director at CLASS, and I'm joined by a panel of guests who I'm so very pleased to introduce you to. We have Mr. Massimo Gentili, the Vice President of International at CLASS. We have Mr. Robert Molepo, EdTech Sales Consultant at OneConnect. And we have Mr. Carl Francis, Senior Solutions Engineer at OneConnect. We're also joined by our Marketing Director, Mpo Nkumonde, from OneConnect. Before we get started, I would like to let you know that if you have any questions at all during this webinar, you can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We will address all of your questions at the end of the program, so feel free to start chatting them at any moment in there. We'll address it at the end. Also, at the end of today's session, we will share the recording so that you can listen to it once again if there's any parts you have missed or you'd like to share this with fellow colleagues. So let us get started. First, on the virtual stage, I would like to invite my colleague, Robert. Robert, over to you.
Thank you, Roxana. We are live, and I mean that both literally and figuratively. Good day, everyone, and welcome. We have joined a conversation that is changing the way Africa learns, teaches, and connects. We are glad you are here for it. My name is Robert Molepo, and I represent OneConnect, a proudly African technology company that has spent more than 15 years turning technology into solution. Today's webinar marks an exciting chapter as we continue showcasing our capabilities in partnership with CLASS. What you'll hear today goes beyond the product. It's a vision to bring world-class education technology to every institution across Africa. Let me start by telling you a little bit about who we are. Next slide, please, Massimo. OneConnect was founded with a simple but powerful purpose. That is to turn technology into a real business solution. For over 15 years, we've been doing exactly that. We are a full-service technology partner, specializing in technology architecture, application development, system development, integration, maintenance, and ongoing service support. We don't just build and leave you. We stay with our clients for a long haul. We are proudly headquartered in South Africa with offices in Kenya, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. And we continue planting our roots across the continent. And in thinking about our partnership with CLASS, our relationship is not new. We have been proud partners for more than 5 years. 5 years of joint delivery, 5 years of building trust with our clients across Africa, and 5 years of deepening a partnership that is rooted in a shared purpose. CLASS is a global leader in virtual classroom, and together we've been quietly and consistently transforming how institutions teach, train, and connect. And today we are simply showing you the impact of what the solution has been doing over the years. Next slide, please, Massimo. Here are some interesting facts. CLASS was born during one of the most disruptive moments in modern education, the pandemic. We all know the pandemic. When the world was forced to reimagine how learning happens, CLASS stepped up, built a platform that did not just replicate the classroom online. It transformed it into an active, engaging, and measurable learning experience. In just over 5 years, Class has grown to serve more than 10 million users, representing over 1,500 customers globally and deployed across more than 75 countries. And One Connect has been the African gateway for Class. What we are looking at right now is a proof of life at scale. These are institutions and organizations that have already trusted One Connect and Class to power their learning and collaboration environment. So here's what I want you to leave you with today. More than 15 years ago, One Connect made a promise to Africa. 5 years ago, Class Technology joined that promise. Today, we are not asking you to take a leap of faith. We are inviting you to stand on the ground we have already built. The foundation is laid. All that is missing is you. Let us bring you on board and build the future of African education together. With that said, I thank you, colleagues, and looking forward to the discussion. Back to you, Massimo.
Robert, thank you so very much for that presentation introduction. Next up, indeed, we have Massimo, who will be presenting the new research that we are so very fortunate to share with you. It is fresh off the press. It's not even 1 month old. We've produced this piece alongside Training Magazine on the subject and status of live virtual training. Over to you, Massimo.
Thank you very much, Roxana. And well, first of all, I apologize for my voice, which sounds a bit weak, but I have a bit of a sore throat. But I definitely didn't want to miss today's webinar and have this chance to present to so many people actually from Africa. So thank you, Robert, for the introduction of One Connect, which is our trusted partner. Today, I'm going to just be focusing on something, which is the new research, as Roxana mentioned, that Class has been commissioned into Training Magazine. And basically, this is going to show you something that it's very specific, and particularly for the corporate sector, the L&D sector, learning and development programs, where Class can play an incredible role going forward. So Class has been, traditionally identified as a platform used by universities, which is true. We have a lot of universities actually all over the world. In 75 countries, we have more than 10 million users, which is a pretty good number. But actually, what we have seen over the last couple of years is an increased adoption by companies, and why this is happening. So it was good, to actually ask the Training Magazine to run a research because the finding could be pretty interesting in particular for customers that belong to the corporate sector. Now, what they did was this. Basically, they did a research with 545 L&D specialists, people working from HR, training departments, very high-level professionals across several organizations. It was done just a few months ago and published a couple of weeks ago in the results. And you can actually find out the white paper from our website, and you can download it to read it. But I just want to highlight here today some of the key findings. So basically, just key findings at a glance, as we say here. 98% of the institutions now, organizations offer VILT, so Virtual Instructor Led Training. So it's not just something that it could be just an option or a backup solution, because normally, training is done in presence in the traditional way, but actually it's something that is now here to stay. And after the pandemic, this has been actually growing, compared to the pre-pandemic times. 40% actually use VLT for, the use of VLT for 50+% of the programs. We see a 40% of that, in companies, which is which is a very high number and it's growing. In particular, if you consider that 86% plan to maintain or grow their virtual instructor-led training. So there is a lot of value in this, and there are key reasons why companies actually invest more and more into what seems to be a compromise, right? Because actually today you still see many companies, you see traditional training delivery, so in presence with instructor, people even traveling from different locations, or you see online, you can see primarily videos. So some people just watching a video, or you have an instructor, that is coming up, but actually is using just basic video conferencing solutions. So today, the platform for running virtual training primarily are video conferencing platform. 44% are using Microsoft Teams and 31% are using Zoom, according to the research, and the people that have been surveyed with that. In terms of other platforms, which we could say virtual learning, virtual classroom type of solutions, then we have only a 24%, which is actually still quite low because people need to invest, but definitely have started investing into this. And when we asked them, actually Training Magazine asked them, they surveyed people, what kind of challenges do you see? Well, basically they divided the challenges into three main categories, right? If we look at the entire virtual instructor led training experience, we have before the session, during the session, and after the sessions, type of challenges that they need to face. Before the session is the administrative burden of setting up and delivering the courses. During the session is primarily the engagement that you really need to drive with your employees. We can call them students, learners, but actually those people are there to learn something, and then they need to achieve specific results. It's not just about complying with the policy of getting a training. We have customers actually that are using class to have hands-on type of training, and they do that things remotely, completely remotely, and it works. We have examples at Volvo and the automotive industry in North America doing that. After the session, the challenge is it's about analytics. It's very important, to extract the analytics and see exactly the results. Now, if we go more into details with the first challenge before the session, basically, you see that majority of them see challenges with the resources allocation and scheduling. We're building the courses themselves. We're standardizing, across the entire organization with we have specific policy to set up and deliver those courses. So the preparation time actually is much longer than a that they would really want it to be, and it's taking really too much resources and too much time. So it's important that with the platform, these type of challenges are addressed. And if we look at class, okay, we see that class provides value during those three steps: before class, during the class, and after the class has started. So just focusing on the before class, streamlining the course setup with templates and persistence. I mean, it's something extremely important. So we have developed functionalities that can allow actually the instructors to prepare, use templates actually to prepare the courses. And you can even have session plans that you can share across different instructors, so you can standardize across the organization the way you want the courses to be delivered. Very important. I mean, we have been investing heavily into the LMS integration. We integrate with the major LMS systems. I mean, here OneConnect is a major provider and reseller of Blackboard LMS system. So we integrate with Blackboard, but we also integrate with Moodle, with Desire to Learn. We integrate with Docebo. We integrate with Cornerstone. Basically, we support the major platforms. And when we say integrate, means that you're going to have a single sign-on, with the LTI protocol, plus an in-depth integration that will allow actually the instructors to actually open content into a virtual classroom. Now, this is just to give you some information. Then, right after this session, you will see Carl, my colleague from One Connect, that will deliver a short demonstrations. But obviously, we will be available for more in-depth sessions. So, again, before class is extremely important, and there are a lot of tasks that an instructor needs to perform, and those tasks definitely are very demanding in terms of timing and resources. The way class is structured and the way the integration works, can dramatically reduce the time and help streamlining completely the entire process. Looking at the second, let's say, type of challenge during the session, I mean, we see that driving engagement and tracking that engagement in real time is extremely important. And one of the things that are normally done during the sessions in L&D is that if you have a group of people, you can actually even divide them and they can work in groups. So you can create breakout rooms, right? And if you're using Zoom, for example, you create breakout rooms. But what we have done in class, we have these design breakout rooms that are much more advanced than the basic breakout rooms, because actually the survey response says, the instructor they cannot see what's happening in the breakout room. So they cannot really control them. How can they monitor them? How can they make sure that they're very active? They can monitor the level of participation, for example. So class has, again, designed a series of functionalities that address those challenges. So you have a learner engagement type of scoring that you can check actually live down to a learner level. And in the enhanced breakout rooms, you can have even a dashboard. And again, Carl will show you, but this is something unique. I mean, you can have, if you have 300 learners because you want to deliver a training, and scale, and basically you want to divide them into groups because they need to work and do different things. I mean, class can allow you to do that, and then you can use even a dashboard to actually control those breakout rooms, monitor them, live, and get in and get out, share material. And basically, it's something that even in present experience, you would never be able to replicate. Looking at basically the learning, I mean, I think that what is very important is that the bottom line, that we always keep in mind when designing the functionality is that they must drive engagement. So if an instructor is going to share, a screen, for example, just to share some content, that would immediately kill any collaborations actually with the learners. That's the worst way to do it from a pedagogical perspective. So the functionalities, the integration, the way you handle and share material in the classroom are all designed to be independent actually from the instructor's desktop, are independent from that. And actually the learners could even work live. And when we see class that is being used to deliver sessions, and then also to boost working groups actually, so they learn much better, and it's always more hands-on. And the more you put your hands on, you interact, with your peers, the better you learn. And last but not the least is actually after class. What happens after class is that once the class is over, the session is over, it's important to see exactly what happened over there. You need to extract analytics. You need to have to see the attendance, for example, but also the level of participation. So there are things that basically those video conferencing tools and even the LMS systems, cannot respond. So who showed up, right? What does the chat, record say? How long was the session? Who was talking the most, the least, or whatever? What kind of level of focus you had from the group and the individual learners? So these are things that they cannot answer, but the data is there actually somehow hidden. And the way classes designed the interface is that it could be easily extracted. So this is extracted and shown in a dashboard, type of interface directly to the instructor. So it's easy to access it. And there is no additional custom work to do. And also because of the integration, we see that our virtual classroom solution talks with the LMS system, so they can exchange data and information. So you can have the level of granular visibility on the activities that are performed into the session. So just to wrap it up, class is a virtual classroom solution for learning and development. I mean, don't think a class only as a platform designed for university, because that's where we started off, okay? And we're having a great level of success. We have amazing testimonials out there. I invite everybody to check in our website. But actually, you can see that we have started publishing testimonials also from corporate customers. And this is really key, because you see that specialists for L&D programs can find all the functionalities that they want. So they can find the solutions to the main pain points that they normally have to face with. So this will be shared actually after after the webinar is over. But if you take the QR code, you will be taken directly through the report, and you can download it and see it. I'm going to stop here and I give it back to you, Roxana. Thank you.
Thank you, Massimo. The research you presented at a high level here is so very important to our audience today. Again, we welcome you to read the full report and share it with your colleagues. It's been posted in the chat. You can access that link directly to the PDF full report. So next, I'd like to invite Carl to the stage to share with all of you a glimpse inside of class technology. Carl, over to you.
Thank you very much. So if you allow me 1 minute, I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. I'm also going to turn off my camera inside of our Zoom meeting so that I can turn it on. Okay, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to break down the demonstration into a couple of parts. I'm going to firstly discuss the interface that you're seeing in front of you. Then I'll dive into some of the features and functionality. And hopefully, if we have some time, I can touch on the admin side of things briefly, just to show you how simple it is to integrate your environments into your LMS, should you wish to, or if you're going to use your class platform as a standalone product. So you don't really need to integrate with the LMS. You can use it entirely on its own, and we'll dive into that. So this is the class interface when you join a class. So right on top, we have all
sorry,
the tools.
Carl, you're not sharing your screen yet.
Oh,
I can see it.
not sharing?
Can everybody see it? Okay, perfect then. Go ahead. Sorry, it's not.
Okay, so
it's perfect.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so what you see in front of you is the class interface once you join a actual classroom. So I'm over here in the podium. So the owner of the session would be in the podium, sort of the focus area of your class. To my right, I have my additional instructors. So if you think of a classroom session or instructor hall, you have your sort of the pulpit and then with your microphone. And then you have your panel of your additional users who would probably be leading the class at some point. So that's sort of what we have over here. Above me, right on top, we have all the tools and utilities available inside of the class. So if I click one of them, so for example, if I click on the participants list, that opens right underneath the podium. If I click on the chat, also underneath the podium. So I'm just going to leave it on participants for now, and I'm going to go through some of the features and functionality, not in too much depth. Class is quite powerful. I'm just going to sort of touch the surface. Okay, so below my additional instructors, I have my actual classroom. So this is my users that have joined the classroom. I also have them in the people's list. So there's a couple of actions that we can see with regard to that. So if I just scroll down in my list, I can see their reactions. So reactions is one of the tabs that all my users have access to on top over here. So I also see some of my users with their hands raised. Again, on top, all of my users have access to that. And in the screen, I also see the reactions. So the reactions in the top left-hand corner. So if I utilize one, just give me a thumbs up, top left-hand corner. And if I raise my hand, top right-hand corner. So the same applies for my students. And then also my screen over here can be adjusted. So in a couple of ways, actually. So firstly, usually what I like to do, I like to put my instructors, my additional instructors over here with my students. So I just clicked on a little arrow over here pointing, it's pointing down now, but it's pointing up to show that I can collapse that menu. I can also collapse my podium if I so choose over there. So I just click the arrow pointing to the left. I'm going to bring myself back. Okay, and then a nice feature that we have over here is the seating chart. So this is my seating arrangement. It shows presenters and then as users join, but I have set it currently to the participation. So as you can see, there's a little participation bar next to each and every one of my users. If I look at the participants list on the left-hand side, there's a little emoji over here on the left of the username. To show me what my engagement is like from this particular user. Now, the engagement metrics class sort of accumulates the engagement from multiple sources. So when I use a reaction, when I raise my hand, when I turn on my microphone, to speak to my users, when I use the chat, that's all engagement and forms part of the sort of the engagement algorithm, and it will tell you the collective engagement for a particular user over here. Now, this information is also stored and available in the reporting. So we have that available in our learning tools, class management. So the learning tools, you'll be familiar. These are our teaching and learning tools that we have available to you. So I'll touch on that in a minute. But under the class management, we also have a dashboard to have that type of reporting analytics. I will jump into that a little bit as well. And we also have the attendance register. I'm just going to jump back for now. Now we can manage our users in a couple of different ways. Either from the participants list, you see the little ellipse. And I can click on the ellipse, the three little dots. And for example, there's a variety of things that we can do. We can give the user stars. We can send a request to start or mute the users if they are being disruptive. We can also send them a direct chat, or one nice feature of class, if I just scroll down the list, I can see here there's user Shaya Mayer. So she has the little googly eyes next to her name. Now that if I hover my mouse over that particular that googly eyes by her name, it says not focused on the meeting. Now class is designed in a way is that you never really need to navigate away from the class tab. So even when you're launching items, it launches in the class tab over here. So this right above my podium, there's a little tab for class. That's for the main classroom. But you'll notice shortly when I do launch my items, it will launch in a new tab over here next to that class item for my users. So Shia has that little googly eyes, meaning they're not paying attention. This is also recorded and documented. So when you run the report, you can see how much time they spend focusing or not. So if they do navigate into another app or another tab in their browser, that little googly eyes will tell you immediately that the user is not paying attention. So another way to utilize or manage is that the ellipsis also appears when you hover your mouse over the user's camera. So I can click it and you will see the exact same menu. So I'm going to what I'm going to do. I don't see myself in the podium, or I'm giving the class over to Tom Galloway. So I'll take my sheet in the classroom. So sort of just to visualize what would happen in the actual classroom, I'll take my sheet and Tom would then take the microphone. So moving the user to the podium is sort of like saying who's now in control of the current session. I also mentioned that I have my seating chart arranged by the participation metrics, but we can change that. So for example, if I want to see, I just clicked on my seating chart, there's a little down arrow. If I want to see all my users that raise their hands, I can change it, and all users who raise their hands would then come sort of to the front of the class. So the class, this is also not the limit, where the class can support up to 300 users simultaneously. So if there are 300 users, there's a little, depending on the size of your screen, you can probably fit more. You can go to the view and change the amount of users that displays in the users menu. So right there, view, can see menu, I can say 4, 9, 8, 16, 20. So 20 is my max, that's how much users I can have. And then we can also have additional cameras for our users. So if I'm the instructor, I can have an additional camera. So if I wanted, and I'm teaching both a class for in-person students, so inside of a classroom, and I'm recording or having my remote students join in on that session, I can have an additional camera, up to 2 cameras for that. So I can then put this camera view in the podium. So that view is of my Blackboard. So if I'm using a Blackboard inside the classroom, and then I can also have another camera that then links to my classroom. So I can have a camera for both, and you can then decide sort of which goes into the podium or which goes into this little top menu over here for your additional instructors. Okay, so as I mentioned, you can also then go through the list of users. So if you want to look at different users from sort of, if you think of it at the back of the class, then you can just click the left and right option for your pages. Okay, so I'm just going to switch my seating chart back to participation. There's a couple of others by name, alphabetically, actions, etc. I prefer the participation. So the least, the users with the lower participation would be on my first screen, and then my higher participation users is sort of at the back of the class, which is how I would prefer it. You'll see there's a little stars. That stars can also accumulate for multiple sessions. So if you want to give a user extra credit, you can look at the amount of stars collected over the sessions that you have with the users. Okay, so that's sort of the anatomy of what you can do. There's quite a bit more features. Obviously, there's different roles for your courses as well. And if you do have an LMS integration, your role inside of your course for the LMS would then automatically be transferred into your class session. So what I mean is, if you're a student inside of your LMS course, you would be a student inside of your live session. And if you are instructor, you would have instructor permission or teacher permissions inside of your class. We can also change the terminology. You'll notice that, as you can see, mine says faculty right next to my name. So if you go by teacher or instructor, you can change that terminology in accordance with your institution. So it doesn't have to be what you're seeing in front of you over here. Just to touch on that, I have another tab open over here. And this is my administrator console. So in my configuration, we can control what happens inside of a session or before the session when the instructor set it up, and after a session, how, for example, how we manage our recordings. But there's also this one over here, terminology. So over here, mine in my current class is set to faculty over here, but as you can see, there's a couple of others that we can utilize as well. And that's also the case for a couple of other terminologies. So whatever suits your institution, you can then decide to change it appropriately. Okay. So our first tab that we have over here is our teaching and learning tools. So these are all the features and functionality that you will be familiar with. And it does have a little bit of a twist. So just to show you, the nice thing about class is that our classes can be populated before we go live. So as you can see, I just clicked on my file section, and my file section already have a couple of files that I can utilize. So I'm just going to select one. Let's look at the over here, intro to bio. Okay, so all I did was select it, and I can launch it. So this keeps popping up. I'm just going to try and move it a little so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I can just click on it to select it and launch. And so it's as simple as that. So basically what I did beforehand was before my class started, I gathered all my resources that I will be utilizing within the class, and I uploaded. So under files, I uploaded my files, my videos, my web pages, everything that I need. So by the time I get to that point of my lecture, all I have to do is simply click, select, launch, and it launches in the new tab right there next to the class tab. Now, important to note is that the class, your tabs doesn't disappear. Every time you as an instructor launch a new tab, it will display for all of your students. So as you can see, this is now a tab that's available to use. So users can either click on the class tab and see the rest of the class, or they can simply go into that file. There's a little X to the right hand side. So once I click close as an instructor, it will close for all of my students. And then there's also a little lock. So as you can see, if I just hover my mouse, I'm not sure, depending on your screen sizes that you have in front of you, but there's a little lock right next to the name on the left hand side. And if I click that lock, or just a summary, I'm hovering my mouse. So it says lock this tab. Participants will only be able to view this tab. So if I want my users to be focused on what I'm seeing in front of me, I want them to look at my Introduction to Bio 101. I can click on the lock tab, and automatically their screens will display this particular tab. So you can have multiple tabs open and multiple activities. And so it's not really users aren't forced to be on the tab until you click on that little lock icon. So once I unlock, users are then able to navigate freely once more. Okay, so users can also download the files. So there's different formats that they can download the files. And this is just one of the functions that we have available. Okay, so we also have videos available. So I'm just going to launch 2 or 3 of these items, and then I'm going to maybe set up one just to show you how easy it is. Okay, so our videos have the ability to show who can control the playback. As you can see, you select this upon launch. Either you can allow your participants to control the playback or you. So I'll just leave it as you. So basically, when I click play, it plays for everybody. When I click pause, it pauses for everybody, and it skips accordingly. Alternatively, you can allow participants to navigate on their own. So in terms of setting it up, these items, I'm just going to set up a web page. All you have to do is click on new. And let's say I'm just going to add Google. I've set it up before, and so it's saved. And the Google one is quite easy. Google.co.za for South Africa. And then we can save and launch. Okay, so notice that, as I mentioned, my other tabs are still available. So it's as I leave it open, it's still available for users to navigate to the various tabs as well. We also have presentations. So our presentations will launch inside of class as well. So we can upload our PowerPoints, etc. And we can navigate left and right in the same way that we will utilize the PowerPoint presentations from our local machine. I don't have any PowerPoint presentations currently in my sandbox, but if you ever saw the PowerPoint presentation earlier, that allows you to basically do the same. Okay, one nice feature as well is our whiteboard. Now, our whiteboard is different to a video conferencing solution in the sense that we have different whiteboards available. So I'm just going to create, I'm not going to create and jump into it, but we have group whiteboards, individual whiteboards, and breakout room. Group whiteboards, sort of like a collage that everybody can contribute to. Individual whiteboards, the same concept of handing each user a piece of paper. They're having their own paper, and everybody can do their own thing. You could also have the ability to showcase your whiteboard to the rest of the class, and you can also select the different whiteboards and showcase it as well. So that's instructor ability. And then lastly, our breakout room whiteboards is specifically for our breakout rooms. So breakout rooms over here on the top we have. Okay, so our breakout rooms gives us the ability to use different applications for different or different applications in each breakout room. We also have individual chat rooms, etc. And it's quite easy to manage. So I'm just going to use all the default settings. For one, I'm just going to create a breakout room. And earlier in the presentation, you saw that the slide that mentioned the fact that our breakout rooms can be managed without actually going into the breakout room. So I'm just going to close this, and you'll see breakout rooms opens as another tab as well. So from the breakout rooms, I can see a summary of what's going on inside of the breakout room. As you can see, there's nothing being shared inside this main room, but in the first breakout room, or the fourth one, minus there's a little file being shared, I think. I can also see what's happening in the chat. And lastly, because my seating chart is set to the activity, I can see the participation that's happening inside of that breakout room. So the participation gauge. The green one shows high participation, and there's also an item being shared over here. So without getting into the breakout room, I can actually see what's going on. And if I want a little bit of a closer view, I can just click on the pop-up, and I can have a better view of what's going on over here without joining the breakout room, so I can manage it as well from from the main room. Okay, so I'm just going to close the breakout room. So I'm just going to close them. Again, different items can be shared inside of the breakout rooms. And I'm just going to go back to my learning tools. Sorry. Okay, so we also have a quick polls. I'm just going to show you the results maybe of one of the polls. So the polls get stored and you can see it. So I'm just going to select this one, and I'm going to show you. So this is how polls show up for the users, and users would be able to then select the poll. So once I launch it, it would you select on the various things. So if I launch, okay, there we go. And then my users would respond. I would see how much users are not responding. And then I also see how much selected yes, how much selected no, and I can end my poll. So again, all of this set up before the class. There's yes or no questions and multiple choice, multiple answer questions available. And then we also have our assignments, assessments, and then also surveys, and then just repeating our polls once more. Something nice about the learning management system as well is that we can jump straight into the learning management system, and it will open inside of here. All of the pages that opens up in class is individual pages. So if you do have, for example, a login that you need to use, each user can use their own login in order to log into a particular portal once you launch it for them. Okay, another nice feature that we have is the proctored view. So our proctoring allows you to, I'm just going to select all my users. It gives you a view of the user and their screen side by side. So this, I know this is a lot of users, so I'm just going to change the view a little bit. Let's change it to 4. Okay, so now I can see Tom Galloway, and I can also see Tom Galloway's screen. If I want a little bit of more focus, there's a little pop-out option again, and I can see, and I can be able to direct Tom, you are in the wrong place, click here, click there. And this also gives you a full view of the screen, not just what's happening inside of class. So the proctored view gives you a full view of the screen and the user side by side, so I can see what they're doing. Okay, so I'm just going to end my proctored view. Okay, and then lastly, I just want to jump into some of the analytics. So I mentioned that we have two reporting available, one for attendance. So our attendance register gets automatically updated. So I can see who came in what time they left, who was late, who's currently present, and I can also view the individual's report for all of the sessions that they have. So if you have multiple sessions, it will all display in this list over here. So the report for attendance is also downloadable, so you can download it in CSV or Excel format, and so you can obviously import that into a third-party system. But also in terms of an integration with your LMS, you would find that that's an automated process. So your attendance register inside your LMS will automatically be populated for you. Lastly, I want to show you the dashboard. So the dashboard gives you analytics. These analytics are updated as you go along with your session. So it's available immediately after your class. So I can see what my faculty talk time, so all my instructors, how long they spent talking, and then my total participant talk time, 45 minutes. So according to that alone, it indicates good engagement from the students. So we sort of had it back and forth. Speaking, which would be very, very good. I'm sure many instructors found that people sort of go quiet on a call. But in this dummy one, that would be good engagement. And then we can also see how much times our users raise their hand and how much reactions we receive from our users. So it's a nice indicator to see how much we engaged, and also we can drill down and view the user detail and see which user has been engaging and if there were any ones that are sort of silent in our course. And obviously we can then put extra attention on that particular user. So focus time is also, as I mentioned, if you go away, you would be notified, but the focus time was also gathered for the users to see how much time they actually spent inside your class paying attention, and then the different ones for hands raised, feedback, and then also, as I mentioned, you can accumulate stars, which shows up in this report. Again, this report is downloadable, so if you want to use that offline, you can do so as well. For the sake of time, class has many other functions, features and functionality, but we'll stop there for now. Thank you very much. Back to you, Roxana.
Thank you so much, Carl, for that demonstration. If anyone would like a full personal demo, reach out to us and we will gladly schedule that for you. So we have reached the end of our formal presentations, and it is now